because of the fact that when Blue was younger, there was all this
Yes.
chatter on the internet about her hair, and Beyonce needs to do this with her hair or do something with her hair. She need her hair braided or done or tamed.
Yeah.
But
People got ugly.
Don't touch my hair when it's the feelings.
what's up, Janelle?
Hey, Bronte.
How is it going?
Uh, it's good. It's good. How's it going on your end?
It's good. I mean, we're recording this week on a Wednesday, and this is the last week before I get a little bit of a break going into Thanksgiving. So I am looking forward to the break itself. Um, yeah, so that's how I'm feeling. I'm anxious, but also motivated to get this week kind of behind me.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time. So I'm like, oh, there's a break coming up. Um, Kind of forgot about the holidays on the horizon. But this is our first time recording since the news is broken about the state of the country. So that's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing, and it's a good thing, but I don't know if you or how many of these people you have on your timeline, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But there are, obviously you are entitled to your opinion on voting and whether voting matters and, your position there. But there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of chatter around like, oh, everybody cuffing for Biden and, the whole situation of the laws that he's enforced in the past, and Biden's not our savior. Like, there's just a whole bunch of this.
Sure, of course. But like, we knew that it wasn't going to be a perfect situation. We just needed to get Trump up out of there. So step one,
But I
like,
mean, it's no. It's like this conspiracy theory that there's, Biden's the beginning of the end, and it's all this underground thing that you don't know what's happening, and
oh no.
yeah.
That's that Facebook shit.
Oh, that's what you gonna call it?
Don't.
Wow. Cuts. Anyway,
no, I don't
I
have
know that
people on my feed
we
doing all that.
were very explicit last episode to say, you were very explicit to say, hopefully next time we record, we have a new president and vice president elect. And that's what we have. So for us, in terms of the conversation we're having, it's a win.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the outcome. And Trump is whining and flailing his way.
And I love to see it.
that meme of the little girl sliding down the wall. Just like, I feel like internally that is what's happening with Donald Trump, and that's what we're viewing and witnessing.
Yeah, I mean, he likes to consider himself an entertainer. He's entertaining the hell out of me. So
At this
good for
point,
him.
I mean, but also I think it's underserving his duties. I mean, he's been doing that for a while, but at this point, with the COVID numbers going up and seeing him absolutely do nothing is disheartening. You still have a duty to fulfill for the remaining 3 months that it doesn't look like he's concerned with. Well,
Yeah.
November, December. Yeah, about 3 months, roughly.
Not surprised. Not surprised at all.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying. But hopefully, as we know, there's a means to an end to this. This part of the story. So looking forward to that.
I saw you pick up your cup. I'm going to assume there's not alcohol in there.
It
Or
might
is there?
be.
Okay, well then I don't feel bad about my cocktail then. I was like, before I looked crazy.
I mean, it's not. It's coffee. It's my midday
Yeah,
coffee.
that's what I thought.
But don't worry, I'm gonna have my cocktail.
So
shortly
again,
after
I'll
this.
just sit over here and drink alone.
Have fun. We did plenty of drinking together this weekend.
We
which
did.
was nice.
It was nice. It was great to see your face, enjoy some art, get out of the city. We went up to Ghent, New York, to the sculpture garden up there called Art Ami,
Mhm.
and hit up a winery up there. So it was cool. It was fun.
Nice. Back to the whole election thing. So I think it's one important call out here that we have a black vice president elect, and namely Kamala Harris.
Yes. Wait,
Um,
can I need to give some qualifiers there. We have a black VP elect that went to Howard and pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Okay, now you can
Yes.
finish saying what you were saying.
Give it all give it all the accolades and the representation there. No, it's important. But I know we were discussing before the marketability of her. Like right now, coming into the office of vice president, history is being made, and then just knowing that we as Black people are the pioneers of culture, pop culture. What does it mean for her in terms of being marketable? And she's now literally at the top of the totem pole, essentially outside of the presidency itself. But what does it
Yeah.
mean, being marketable?
I mean, what I'll say is like obviously policy and all of that, like considered, like all of that, of course, is of the utmost importance. But I think that like number one, the test of marketability, as it relates to like her moving into this office, like the first check is like you won the election, like you're marketable enough or palatable enough to enough Americans that you got the, that you got the position.
Right.
So when the news came out that they won, I immediately started thinking about how we kind of position women in that sphere. I mean, usually they're not the president or the vice president; they're the first lady or the second lady,
Right.
which I think obviously adds a bit of nuance to the conversation. But like, you know, the first time we saw her after the election or after the results came out, a lot of talk was about that white suit she was wearing, the white suit that she wore to give that speech. We're going to be seeing her in a lot of public appearances. You have
Yes.
inauguration coming up and all the pomp and circumstance around that, and just thinking about how like anytime Michelle Obama stepped out and the stuff that she was wearing, how it would fly off the shelves, and like that became like PR fodder and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to assume that the same thing is going to happen for Kamala. So I'm really interested to see, who she kind of has like as a part of her team as it relates to just kind of like her image, and then what kind of brands they put her in, how deliberate they are with that, because like these people don't just throw these elected officials in any old thing. It's like,
Right.
who you wearing? Like, I don't know. It's very
Right.
deliberate how they go about it. So, I want to see her in a lot of black fashion designers. But I also want to see her in, those couture house type pieces. And, I want to see the fashion world, or just like the brand world in general, kind of clamoring for her attention, and like to be in the spotlight, or be in her spotlight, the way that we've seen with other people.
Yeah, I think all of those are interesting points. And I'll even take it a step further and say that I think there's going to be a bit more attention on her. And the reason why I say that is twofold. One is because I feel like there's this grooming and expectation that the next run, if it does go, however it goes, is going to be her running for the ticket as the presidency. I think that this is going to be a little different in the dynamic between the presidency and the vice presidency, where Kamala is going to have a lot more attention as far as public appearance, as far as speaking engagements and things of that sort. I think she's going to be seen more in I don't want to call it a silo role as the president, but I think there's going to be more of a demand on her to actually show up. And with that being said, I think that there is an opportunity to really lean in on how she continues to build her brand on the platform that she now has. I think it is a golden opportunity if the right people lean in to, even project her even further than what she is right now, which is going to happen naturally because of the vice presidency. But outside of that, there are ways to enhance it. And those are all the ways that you kind of pointed to.
Yeah. I mean,
So we'll see. I'm excited to see how it plays out. I know me and Amadi were talking, and it was like, oh, it would be crazy. She came out, had a little bit more volume to her hair. They put some bundles.
bundles.
You
saw that Photoshop, that Photoshop picture with her with bundles.
I did. That would be crazy. But there's opportunity, obviously, the job at hand is not easy, and that's her main priority. But outside of that, if she has a team built around her, they should know what to do. If not, Kamala, give me a call.
Yeah, we got some ideas, girl.
Yes.
Kind of staying in case we haven't stated. Welcome to episode 22 of With Your Black Ads. We are now in Above the Fold. So moving on to our second topic, kind of staying in the realm of fashion. A friend sent over this Women's Wear Daily feature about Farfetch partnering with the Folklore. And the Folklore is a online concept shop that really centers around African designers, luxury African designers. So if you're not familiar with Farfetch, Farfetch is an online kind of like aggregator for boutiques around the world, luxury boutiques around the world, luxury brands around the world. And it's just kind of like a one-stop shop online for all of those things. So they partner with these brands and they move their e-commerce onto their platform. That's an oversimplification of what they do. But they have really recently made an effort or have been putting in place initiatives to make their platform a bit more diverse in the designers that they're featuring and things like that. So I think that a partnership with the Folklore, which I believe brings about 10 African, luxury African designers onto the platform, is a big deal. And it kind of signals this like bigger kind of change around, I think a bigger change for them as far as like how they're partnering and positioning these brands, but maybe even broadly in the fashion industry around who's deemed luxury, like who are those gatekeepers, who's let in, who has a seat at the table, as they say, and things like that. So I thought that was some pretty good news from Farfetch, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on the things that they do over there.
Now, is this something, I know that we always have to visit this as a topic of conversation whenever these initiatives are happening. Is this something that would be considered potentially performative? Is this something that we side eye, or is this something that we're like, no, how are we feeling?
I'm not side eyeing it just because it doesn't feel performative to me. It wasn't like, oh, we took out, we took out like all this paid media and like, look, we got a Black designer on the platform. Like, well, we're done. It seems like it's a bigger kind of initiative, a bigger partnership that's like, and I know that I don't think this is the first thing. This definitely isn't the first thing they've done so far. I think in the beginning, it was more so like highlighting the Black designers we already have on the platform, which, it's like, okay, that's step one. But if you stop there, then like, definitely that's performative. But like, it seems like it's an ongoing initiative. And they've taken steps in other markets to like, I believe maybe it was like last year, they were kind of doing the same thing with a lot of like Chinese designers and like making sure that there was visibility in it. So it's not something that feels like a new concept.
I see. Them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
and
again,
thank you for providing the context. I think I was just, I'm always wondering, especially with brands that I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah.
What's the backstory? Have these initiatives happened before, or is this something that, in this new world order that's happening, let's try to get ahead of it and do this? But and from your explanation, sure it doesn't sound like it is.
Right. Like, and I'm sure that, like that added fuel to the fire, for sure, like what's going on in the world.
Right.
But, it's about consistency and just like continuing to see them put out initiatives, around this community will be the telltale time. Yeah, the telltale sign of if this is performative or not. Like time will tell. And, I do know that there are Black folks over there who are holding the company accountable and trying to move things forward.
Which means everything. So that's all I need to know. As long as we are in the room, that's always a plus and a benefit. So cool. Right. So shout out to them. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah. Now I just got to get my coins up so I can actually afford something on the platform.
Well, there you go. Next step. So I know we talk a lot about, the queen, and I'm going to leave it at that. the queen's daughter, is
Would that make her
continuing
the
to,
princess?
yeah, that would make her the
And she's the
princess.
queen's daughter? I don't
The
know.
queen's daughter. She continues to, you know, put her table stakes in the ground, or her stakes in the ground in terms of who she is as a very young individual. I'm
Hmm.
speaking of no one other than the 8-year-old Blue Ivy Carter. And I think this news dropped last week or the week before. And I saw it through I think I saw a post somewhere on IG. But what's happening is Blue is narrating. I'm not sure if you've seen the book Hair Love. It's a children's
Hmm.
book, I think by Matthew Sherry.
Yeah. But I
Um,
think, did it start off as a book or did it start off as the short film? Because he won what? The Oscar for the short film, right?
I don't know which one came first.
Hmm.
Either way, this book has, or short film has developed steam obviously over time. But the most recent thing that has happened is Blue Ivy Carter was tapped to narrate this story for tons of little children around the world. And I love this because of the fact that when Blue was younger, there was all this
Yes.
chatter on the internet about her hair, and Beyonce needs to do this with her hair or do something with her hair. She need her hair braided or done or tamed.
Yeah.
But
People got ugly. Okay.
got really ugly. But you fast forward to 4 or 5 years later, and you see Blue Ivy, first of all, with gorgeous hair. It's always been gorgeous, but
Hmm.
even in present day, gorgeous hair. And she is narrating this book to promote, self love and hair love. And obviously, this is a book that was intended for children of color, Black children,
Hmm.
namely Black brown skinned girls. But I
I
think
see what
it
you did
fits.
there.
Yeah, you see. But I think it fits. It fits perfectly in terms of not what she went through, but what people tried to put on her name.
Exactly.
To
I
now
mean, like,
fast forward and see like y'all said all that, and it is such a part of her. How this story unfolded. The same way it
yeah.
happens for Beyonce too. People will talk all they want to, and then fast forward a couple months or a couple years, and then she addresses it or levels up on something. So
Yeah.
I just like how all of it in combination just kind of transpired.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't think that there was a more perfect, voice to have like narrate the audiobook for this. I'm like, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, duh,
Duh. Right.
perfect. So, yeah, Blue Ivy's like, look, I love my hair and I'm going to get a coin off of it. And the haters going to have to
I'm going
stay
to get a
mad.
coin off. I'm going to get a coin off of it.
Period.
Let me clock in, mommy. Let me clock in. I got this one. Too cute. I love it.
Yeah.
And then in the same terms, keeping in the Carter household, Beyonce recently announced collaboration. Well, Peloton recently announced a collaboration with Beyonce. It's a partnership. So there are now ride classes that are classified under Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like how they did the branding for it. So it's Beyonce going diagonal and then Peloton going diagonal,
Mm-hmm.
intersection at the L. So a lot of times when they do brand mergers or partnerships, there's a cross like Beyonce times Peloton.
Right.
But I like how they did it
Oh,
or
that was perfect.
incorporated it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is cool. We've known Beyonce to do Soul Cycle. I didn't know that she was a big Peloton fan or that she was a part of that community. I think in her little blurb that she spoke about, she said she's been a member for several years, and that
Mm-hmm.
she was excited to be a partner with a company that helps people young and old be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
I,
think that also, really quickly, I think the big kind of like the big thing about this collaboration was that it was in partnership with HBCUs, right?
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
available. Is it available to everybody? But like these HBCUs and their students get kind of like first dibs or like get it for free or something.
Yeah, they're gifting 2 years membership to to students of 10 HBCUs. What HBCUs those are Bennett College, Atlanta University, Grambling, Hampton, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, Texas Southern, Wilberforce. Yeah, so those guys. So shout out to all of those people that get free memberships at the
Well, I
10.
mean, I'm not a
at-
current student, but like, I guess I'm one of those.
right. I mean, you can represent for it. But I was going to say, we all know that Beyonce has been a Soul Cycle fanatic, and we saw in her recent Homecoming, well, not recent anymore, but her Homecoming documentary when she was like, I want to be able to do the stairs, I want to be able to rehearse and do Soul Cycle. But, in COVID times, Peloton, a lot of people are investing in getting the bikes right in their home. So they'll be able to, go on Beyonce rides right in their house and know that they are a part of a brand that is uplifting the culture.
Yep.
So up next on our In Above the Fold, not sure if you know or if you're even aware or have an eye for this, but the PS5 dropped this week.
What? No, I've been living under a rock, Bronzy. I had no clue.
Well, I don't know you to be a gamer or if you're like even interested, but I'm sure there's no way that you were able to escape it if you've been on Twitter or anywhere else. So you buying the PS5 for anybody?
Oh, that's a very personal question, I feel like.
We need
The
to know.
answer is no.
I need to know, who was worth
No.
it to be buying
And
the PS5.
ain't nobody over here is getting a PS5, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Cool. That'll work. I'll get it eventually. So I don't know if you saw that the Xbox Twitter account, they tweeted and mentioned PlayStation, and they were like, happy launch day. It's been a pleasure doing gaming with you for whatever amount of years. I thought that was cool. I like that brands can acknowledge one another in the space. And although it's competitive, you understand that you are not a monopoly in the space. And some people will have both of y'all's consoles and some people will prefer one over the other, but that's fine. That's what that tweet said. And I like to see things like that happen. But Philadelphia cream cheese. So they put out like this campaign and it's called Philly Series 5. So it's PS5 in terms of the acronym. And the commercial drop or the campaign around it was like, oh, the technology, the crumble of the cream cheese is high. Like they were speaking about it in terms of a gaming console. And then the packaging, it's basically 5 blocks of Philly cream cheese. But it's a nod to the PS5. I thought it was cool. I thought it was clever. And that's the only reason I wanted to bring it up, is because they leaned into a cultural moment that was happening around the PS5 drop. And they brought the branding full circle to make it make sense for their brand. I thought that was cool. And
Yeah.
it's a clever way to move in a space where, okay, I don't know what to do with a marketing campaign right now. They literally leveraged another brand's drop and made it relevant for the timing.
Yeah, and I feel like if it was not necessarily any other brand, I'd be like, okay. But I mean, like, I'm sure it's really hard to find cultural moments to latch on, to for cream cheese.
Right.
Right. Like,
Right.
what's our big moment? Like, so yeah, so when you have a brand that's a commodity like that, like nothing is fair game, but that means like everything is fair game.
Right.
Just depending on what your brand positioning is and like how serious,
Mm-hmm.
you are, tonally and things like that. So yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought it was something that they could probably, I'm expecting to see more of as other cultural moments come up that, you wouldn't think that cream cheese fit into, force yourself into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell not?
Right. And that's why I like how you said it. Force yourself into the conversation. And it made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So moving right along, I don't know if I'm sure you saw the news, but I mean, over the course of like the past week or so, there's been a lot of new features added to some of our favorite social media platforms. So I mean, everything from Instagram and the shop tab, whatever.
It's called
yesterday.
It's called Discovery Commerce.
The shop tab, Twitter.
Janelle,
Okay, Discovery. Nobody in these streets is calling that Discovery Commerce. I'm sorry, Bronzy. It's the shop tab. The culture has spoken. Twitter yesterday, I think they released two, maybe one and a half new products. One, Fleet, which like I don't the naming like I'm kind of convinced y'all did that shit on purpose, which is fine. So Fleet is basically stories on Twitter, right? They
Right.
disappear in 24 hours. I get it. You know, they're fleeting. It's
Hmm.
Twitter, tweet, fleet,
I
whatever.
mean, but
And
the
then,
fleet jokes did get old really quickly.
yeah, I'm sure they did, but you had to also like they knew those were
Right,
coming.
right, right.
And then the other feature, which I'm not sure that they've rolled out kind of like in mass like they have Fleet, but I think it's called Spaces. And basically it's just a rip on Clubhouse. Like it's audio,
Mm.
it's Clubhouse, you know, which I thought was that one was the feature that was a lot more interesting to me than Fleets because we've talked about Clubhouse on here before, and basically the way I look at it is like it's all the heavy hitters from Twitter
Right.
in audio form on Clubhouse, and then like a lot of the conversation crosses over. Like you'll see, you know, a room happening on Clubhouse, and then there's discourse about like that room on Twitter, not
Hmm.
necessarily, you know, what's being said, but what's taking place in those rooms, but just like conversation around um you know certain people on the platform, like who let in
Right.
X person, or you know that kind of conversation. So there's a lot of going back and forth between Clubhouse and Twitter. So if you take the big draw of Clubhouse, which is creating these rooms where there's a moderator and like you know supposed to be some kind of order to having conversations, and it's not just a free for all. Anybody on Twitter can join the space and just talk. Like you can come in and listen, and like the moderator can call you up and tap you to talk, or you know it's almost like an audio panel.
Hmm.
Why then would I leave Twitter to go on Clubhouse to talk to all the people I already follow on Twitter? Like does this
I mean, it makes
will this
sense.
make a
It makes sense.
but
And
I'm wondering,
also,
like, will it make a dent? Like, is this going to hurt Clubhouse?
absolutely. Also, Clubhouse is invite only. Now that Twitter has this, whenever they decide to roll it out, more
Hmm.
global, at that point, there's no barrier to entry. So people that would otherwise want to join Clubhouse to have this sort of an experience, they no longer need to. And like you mentioned, over at Twitter, the people you follow are already set. So there's no, trying to
Hmm.
create or recreate or reinvent yourself on another platform.
The only thing, though, and it's funny because I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast earlier today, and they were talking about this, and one of the hosts mentioned like Clubhouse should just stay exclusive. That differentiates them from Twitter. And I was like, well, why would you want to do that? Like it limits your user base and all of this kind of stuff. But I think that argument discounts how exclusivity works and how like having access to a space that other people don't have access to can be a strategy within itself. Like, sure, I can stay over here and talk on Twitter to all these people, but you know, I'm elitist. So like I want to go over here where you can't go and talk to these people. Is there value in that? And is there enough value in that and enough people in that space to set Clubhouse apart? Like, you know,
Yeah.
does it become this exclusive audio club? Like as elitist as that sounds, like sure, it's elitist, it's problematic, sure, but can you monetize that?
I think you answered it. It's twofold. It's in the question itself. So, is it worth it? How much, and then how much value is it to you? I think it's going to be
Yeah.
different for everybody, but for Clubhouse, it's probably you can monetize it, but it's probably not as profitable. But also, you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. It's like if I do open up to the masses, then I'm definitely in direct competition. But if I stayed in elitist, then that limits my marketing cap or what I actually can do in terms of monetizing. So there's pros and cons on both sides. I just think you kind
Yeah.
of have to do some segmentation and figure out what is going to make most sense for you. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard
mean,
to determine.
And I think, just even outside of just like the clubhouse of it all, looking at these apps now, and like they all have the same features, right? So like now Instagram stole from Snapchat and TikTok, and
Mhm.
now you got Twitter stealing from Instagram, who stole from like it.
TikTok stole from Vine, like that,
Yeah,
and wasn't Vine a Twitter
exactly.
product?
Yeah, it was.
So it's like everything
So
is full circle.
yeah, and I'm like, in all of this, Black Planet still hasn't shown up to the conversation. Like,
They
what
are
is going on?
still, on retirement somewhere. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, all of this and y'all. I mean, at this point, you can do whatever you want to do. Like the 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 platforms already exist. The features already exist. You just need to take this because it works really well there. Take this because it really works there. And obviously, that
Hmm.
seems to be the formula that's working. Um,
But when does it stop working? When do all of these platforms become just like mirror images of themselves, where people are just like throw their hands up, like, okay, well,
they won't. I think that they're at their all of them have a core that they won't deviate from. Um, but outside of that core, it's kind of like they'll play with the product features and all of that. And we as
okay,
consumers,
so
we
then
kind of know where to go for what kind of content you want to consume. You know where you want to go or where you want to be.
yeah, but I also feel like there are some platforms that are like trying to force us into certain behaviors that I don't think like the Instagram shopping tab.
Mm-hmm.
I've I've started noticing that like my feed, uh, like posts that promote buying on the platform are prioritized. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm. Like, of course, they want to set it up so that this new feature that they're pushing seems, um, so that it's it's adapted by like the content creators on the platform and
It's
stuff, right? And so
it's
how are they going to do that? They're going to prioritize that content.
yeah.
So but like there has to be some kind of like checks and balances there, because like, okay, sure, if you want all these people shopping here, but like consumer behavior, like people aren't shopping, when do you stop and give that up, or people are just like, you know what, I'm not going on Instagram anymore, because all it is like it's a fucking flea market.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. But at the same time, it is it is working. If it wasn't working, then it wouldn't exist. I do wish, and I think this is to your point, that there was a way that you could turn that feature on and off, or you had some more
Hmm.
controls around being able to personalize your experience. I think that would be game changer. Um, in terms of when does it become, I think that there's this push, especially now with everything that's going on around brick and mortar not being as accessible, people not going out. A platform like Instagram is as much for the consumer as it is for the businesses. So there's a duality there that's trying to be played, but where that balance is, that's the conversation.
Do we know, do they take, I'm assuming they take a percentage of a sale?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I wonder how much that is. And if it even, I mean, I'm sure they
I
have to
doubt it's
make it
driving
attractive.
is driving much of the bottom line. More of it is coming from the advertising itself, from the
Right, right. I'm
brands.
sure. I'm sure it's not driving a lot of their bottom line, but I'm wondering if almost thinking of it in terms of like the food delivery services, right? It A business makes more money if you order directly from them than if you order through Postmates or on Uber Eats or whatever. Like, if is it the same situation? Whereas,
Oh,
like,
I
if I
see
just
what you're
go to
saying. I see
your
what you're saying.
your e-commerce site, like independent of Instagram,
Hmm.
like, do you make more money than if I buy through Instagram?
That's a good question. I don't think so. If it is, it's dollar cents to the dollar. But
Hmm.
also, this is a really good feature, I think, in my opinion, for the mom and pop shops that otherwise wouldn't get the reach that they would have or the traffic that they'll get on Instagram. When you think of these, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like beauty brands or kind of like homegrown clothing lines and things that you've probably seen, like the guy that makes your belts and things of that nature. If he sets up a shop on Instagram, he's going to get so much more if that's what he wants. Business drove to his site or purchases through the app than he would organically having people come through. And that's not a big brand. These smaller brands don't have the power and the marketing power or, otherwise the campaign level to really be able to push themselves forward in the way that a service like this does. So I get why some consumers are upset by it, or it's kind of like, I'm getting all of this. But at the same time, I look at it from the smaller business owners too.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's so much there for it. I mean, me personally,
I
I do
think
see
that
the irritation of I'm on Instagram and I want to consume the content or, what I'm here for. I don't want to see ad for a new toothbrush added to the cart or purchase through app. I don't need a new toothbrush or whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. That's my little spiel or take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the benefit of it for a small business. I just feel like these things can get out of control.
Yeah, and that's very true too.
Yeah,
that's true.
So the next on the agenda, there were a couple of ads that came out recently.
Yes.
I mean, I'm kind of classifying them. There's 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the 3 are like holiday ads that kind of like pull at the heartstrings a bit, that I thought were really, really good, that I was like, oh, we kind of have to talk about these.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one up, have you seen all of them that I
Yes,
put on here?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one, the Etsy Gift Like You Mean It ad. Loved it, right? So this is a series of ads where Etsy is kind of, positioning themselves as like, get the gift like the recipient is gonna like. It's not the cookie cutter gift,
right?
Because Etsy is a platform of crafters and DIYers and like vintage and things like that. But yeah, how did you feel about this one?
I loved it. I loved the creative for it. I love the storyline. It was almost like a short story. And I know what it's like to be in the position of showing up to someone else's holiday for the first time and feeling like awkward and weird. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
So I thought it was me personally, it was really relevant. And I'm sure that others felt the same. And then it was Black. There were Black characters. It was a Black family. It was a Black gay couple. And I just thought it was, obviously that's checkbox number 1. You're already promoting it, or not promoting it, but using Black characters in the spot. But then outside of that, just what the commercial stood for. So yeah, it definitely pulled at the heartstrings. I loved it too.
Yeah, I think that's really why, like, I really liked it, aside from it being like a Black commercial, but it was like a Black queer commercial, and like that kind of that tension. It was the tension of not only am I going to like my partner's family's house for the holidays for the first time, but it's also like that, like, will I be accepted type of vibe to it. And like, of course, at the end, like, yeah,
I'm
we got
nervous.
you a gift. And it's actually,
like,
it was,
yeah.
That was one of those, you get the little tickle up here, like before the tears start to well up. That gave me that for sure.
Yeah. Change the subject. Did you?
Allergies.
All right.
So then the next one was an Amazon UK holiday ad. And this one centered around, just kind of our current state, being locked in the house. Basically, the storyline is Black ballerina in her dance class. She is picked to be the lead in the new dance recital. Put in all this hard work only for it to be canceled because of COVID. And
she's upset.
So now she's stuck at the house. She's stuck in her apartment complex, and with the help of Amazon and very, very friendly neighbors in her building, she was able to put on a show. And her little sister, she was able to put on the show and be the lead after all for an audience of her neighbors.
What I loved about this, again, first checkbox, is Black characters. The second checkbox for me is the way that they were able to craft a short story and tell a full story in a matter of 2 minutes that actually captivated you and made you sit there for 2 minutes and know what was happening, to see, a plot, a setting, a climax, and a resolution. I thought it was cool. Also, another one that pulled at your heartstrings, because by the end of it, you see that it worked out. And then you were able to see how Amazon played a big part in what the world is right now, and still being able to push initiatives and things forward that you're looking to get done or accomplish. I like the way that it kind of spoke to resiliency in this time, but still able to tell the story of the girl, and almost like it was a movie. It was cinematic. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm like, at the end of it, I was just like, okay, where's part 2? Like, this could be a series.
You know
I
what I
want to know
mean?
what happened. That little boy spent his little coin on that flashlight for you.
Yes.
What happened next?
Right. Where are we going with this?
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. It made you forget that it was for Amazon, and all the problematic shit that comes with, consumerism and shit.
I wonder who did that design,
there's that.
Who was behind that strategy, as we talked about before.
Right. The last one we have on the list is Beats by Dre, the You Love Me spot that they just released.
Yeah.
I think it was written by Lena Waithe, directed by Melina Mitsoukas, scored by Solange Knowles. So, what else do you really need there to garner the press you need? It starred Bubba Wallace and had Naomi Osaka in there, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of other people that were featured in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a very moving piece about America's love for Black culture, but less than love for Black people. But we love us, right? So at the end of the day, as long as we have us, you are loved, basically. All men are created equal. I think Lil Baby was in it. Yeah, Lil Baby was in it as well.
Yeah. This is another one. They came out hitting hard with all 3 of these commercials. This one was so Black. It was definitely reminiscent. You definitely saw Lena Waithe's touches all through there. Or she did a really good job. You said she wrote it? She did the...
Yeah, I think it was written by Lena.
She did really good. Several times throughout the commercial, I was like, oh, yes, in the Amen corner. And then also definitely knew it was Solange when I started to see them horses montages. I was like, with the cowboys, with the black cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, that's definitely Solange. Then I start hearing the production of the music, and I said, okay, that's definitely Solange. Then I heard her voice, and then I said, okay, that's definitely Solange. No, but it was really good and creative. As we know, Solange is very creative. And then, like we said, it was very Black, and it was a message saying, y'all love us, but it's less than love for us. Y'all love what we do for the culture. And that's where we go back to saying that Black people are the drivers of culture, and there's no denying that. But outside of that, there's not much that you offer or give us.
Yeah.
All 3 of these commercials were brilliant, though. I can watch them all back to back a couple times.
Yeah, we're gonna have a hard time when we get to the final segment with the going with your black ads.
I don't know. Don't even ask me.
That's gonna be a really, really hard one. But moving right along, next up, we got a guy that we talked about last time. Last time we talked about his hotel opening up in South Beach, I believe. Mm-hmm. This week, Pharrell has a skincare line coming out called Human Race. It's a unisex skincare line. I mean, not surprised it took him this long, as much as people talk about, him not aging and how good his skin looks at his age and things like that. It just seemed, almost like a no-brainer that he would have a skincare line. What are your thoughts?
It makes sense. I don't really have many thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an emerging space that we're continuing to see celebrities enter, or people enter, period. But, seeing celebrities enter into it, it makes sense because, like you said, everyone has always talked about him not aging. So it's a play on that. At the same time, him being the face of it and him being the person that's putting the brand out, it's a no-brainer. But at the same time, it's a marketer's dream. Like, I have perfect skin, and whether that's by his diet or by his genetics or whatever, you putting
Right.
this cream that we formulate on the mat in the lab, not gonna make
Don't worry
you.
about that. Just try. Just try. Trust me.
But
Keep on putting it on. Keep on slathering it on. It'll work eventually.
right, and that's the marketing position that you take behind the scenes to make it make
I
sense.
will say though, yeah, I mean, I will say though that we're seeing a lot of people, a lot of celebrities enter this space, but we're not seeing a lot of men enter this space. So, this being obviously like the face of it being Pharrell and being marketed as a unisex product, how do you think that changes things? Do you think like men and are gonna, go? I don't know if they've stated where it'll be sold yet or how it's being marketed. If it's gonna be like one of those like luxury, like you go to get a facial and it's in
Right.
the lobby versus like in a Target type
Oh yeah.
situations. But
I think if you think of competitors or who they're talking about in the room, Fenty Skin is definitely coming up in these conversations to say, hey, what has worked for them? Because that drop was very successful. I think it's going to be a play on kind of leaning into that same target demographic. Yeah, you're right. We don't see a lot of men entering into the space like that. Well, celebrity men. I will say there are a couple of black owned skincare lines, black men owned skincare lines, but not from a celebrity standpoint.
celebrity, right?
So
right.
I do think that changes things. Will it shift or make it more of an appetite for men because it's Pharrell? I don't know. I don't know. That's hard to say. I'm curious to know if, being labeled as gender neutral will help that at all or not. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I've been looking for a black owned enzyme exfoliator and I see that he has one. So
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe
there
I'll
you
give
go.
it a try.
There you go.
Maybe. And then I'd say finally on the list, because we always have a couple of other topics that we may or may not get to. I added, this is a last minute addition,
Mhm.
Zendaya's magazine covers, just because today Essence released their digital cover and it featured Zendaya and took inspiration by Danielle Luna's like Vogue cover. I believe she was like the first
Mm.
black model to be featured on the cover of Vogue. Um, the images were absolutely or are absolutely stunning, but this also comes off of what last week or the week before Zendaya being shot for the cover of Elle by Micaiah Carter.
Right.
So I mean, black photographers are just killing it. This was shot by AB and DM. Um, yeah, like I said, the last one with the L cover was Micaiah Carter, and Zendaya is just out here flourishing. I love to see it.
Yeah, I love to see it too. What did she just win? Was it Emmy that she won?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these were brilliant. I have nothing else to say outside of that. I think we should continue singing her praises and giving her just due whenever we see it.
Yeah, and I mean, seeing like the photos from Essence, like her photo right next to the Danielle Luna reference photo, it's like they did a really, really, really good job with this.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up Above the Fold for this week, which means it is time for the game segment. Guess that spokesperson. I got it right this time.
Yeah, she did.
So this week it is my turn to stump you. I know last time we talked about some changes to the rules. We have not formally discussed what those changes are, but I have tried my best to stump you, but with things that don't rely on the numbers and Grammy wins
Okay.
and
Okay.
things of that nature. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. So do you want the spokesperson or the brand first?
Give me that spokesperson first.
All right. So 3 clues. This person is New Orleans born and raised.
Okay.
Right. That's number 1. Number 2, they technically released 2 albums this year. And then the 3rd clue is they were in a 5-year relationship and have a kid with a famous singer.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the brand, this drink's parent company is based in New York. It was originally a moonshine mixer. And the company's original slogan was, "It'll tickle your innards." It was horrible, right?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Okay. Is the spokesperson a rapper?
Yes.
Is the spokesperson featured in an album that received a Grammy?
Featured in an album that received a Grammy? I don't know. Give me a second.
And did he do like a speaking part on this album that I'm referencing?
You want to give me the album just so I can like
A seat at the
check.
table.
No.
Oh, wow. So that eliminates him. New Orleans based. Well, he's born and raised in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
He has a baby with a famous singer.
Mm-hmm.
Does the famous singer have any Grammys?
I'm sure she does, but let me just double check.
And the
Yes.
Oh, wow. And the brand is...
I think that's your 3 questions, but go ahead, ask it.
No, I'm recapping the brand
Okay.
clues. What were they again?
The parent company is based in New York.
Parent company based in New York. Okay.
It was originally a moonshine mixer,
Originally a moonshine mixer.
and its original slogan was, "It'll tickle your innards."
No, I definitely don't know that. I don't know the brand. Okay, so back to the art. You know what? I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like I know. I don't know. My guess was gonna be Master P, but you kind of said no, that's not it. He released 2 albums this year.
Technically, yeah.
Do you think I listened to these albums?
If you don't listen to them, you had to have heard that they came out, at least one of them.
Oh,
I'll give you one more hint.
okay.
He's affiliated with the Queen's husband.
He's affiliated with the Queen's husband. Okay, that also can mean.
I guess that would be the king, but like I don't really feel like giving him that title.
Okay. You know what? I don't know. I'm stumped.
Okay, so the spokesperson is Jay Electronica.
Jay Electronica.
Yes,
I
he's
wasn't gonna
born
get
and raised
that.
in New Orleans. He technically released 2 albums, one officially, one that leaked that then he released on Tidal, and then
I
he has a
wasn't
kid
gonna get
with
that.
Erykah Badu. And
Kid
the
with-
brand is Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew was originally a mixer.
Yeah, it was originally a mixer for moonshine, and they used hillbillies to market it, and they said it'll tickle your innards.
You learn something new every day
Owned-
because these
Owned
were
by Pepsi.
stats that I was not going to get. That was a good one though. That was a good one.
See?
No,
So
you
you
know
learn
what?
something.
That was a good one, and the clues weren't bad. I just didn't know them. So I see what you're trying to do here.
Yes.
So
yes.
cool. I'm aligned with you.
Okay. um, so that wraps up the game segment, which means that. What does that mean?
That
means
means
it's time for the end.
Go On With Your Black Ads, or that ain't it. And since you did the game segment, I'm gonna let you go first.
Since I did the game segment, I go first.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seemed like
I think you just don't know which one you want to pick.
You want me to go first? I can go first.
No, I'll go first. I don't think I have a that ain't it this week. Maybe had we gotten to some of the things that at the tail end of the list, I might have, but based on what we covered, I do not. And Go On With Your Black Ads. While the 3 ads that we talked about were great, I'm gonna have to give it to Blue Ivy. And like, I hate to tell a kid to go on with their black ass, but like, go on with your black ass, sis.
No, you can tell her that. I think she knows what's happening here. That's fair. Yeah, I think we talked about a lot of good stuff, so I don't think you can go wrong with anybody. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it to whomever. I'm gonna give it to Amazon. I think that short film is what I'm gonna call it was especially brilliant. It was brilliant. There were so many components to it. And that's just how I'm feeling right now. If you ask me in another minute, it probably would be someone else. So let me just go with Amazon for now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are, like, while I'm still sticking with Blue Ivy, I feel like there are hella honorable mentions on this list.
For sure.
This was a good week, a positive week. So
yeah. But thank y'all. As always, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on the IG at With Your Black Ads. Also on Twitter at With Your Black Ads. And that's a wrap for this week. We will see y'all next time. Enjoy the holidays. Thanksgiving.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening.
See you.
Bye.
Mighty was telling me we needed to wrap it up. We was getting